Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 14 of Just Lying Around, a Detroit Lions podcast presented by the World of Football. I'm your host, Kyle Sutherland, and I am joined by my co-host and brother-in-law, Adam Snow. Adam, how are we feeling after this bye? We're going to the Chargers this week. How are you feeling about it?
Hey, well, I know we'll get into the Chargers. As far as the bye week, I always love bye week because it's like stress free, essentially stress free football. But I'm just glad. Hopefully, we're getting some guys back, healthy. That's the big thing. And yeah. What are you doing? Like, what's your gimmick this week? I know everybody's on pins and needles. What does bye week Kyle look like? What does bye week Kyle have in store for everybody?
I don't have a bye or gimmick this week. I'm just worried about the Vikings Lord and Savior, Josh Dobbs. I hope
Oh,
he's not going to make a run there, but we'll see.
hey,
But
we'll
yeah.
we'll see. We can't control what the Vikings are doing. We can control what we're doing, and Detroit's just got to keep winning.
Yep, they do. But yeah, on today's show, we're going to go over three topics, maybe four, we would like to discuss following this bye week. Those topics are how we were feeling with the first 8 games, trade acquisitions, and finally looking ahead at the rest of the schedule. But first, we want to thank you for checking out our podcast, whether that's on YouTube channel or on your podcast platform of choice. You can find the World of Football and its many offerings on multiple social media platforms. Just check down the descriptions. We also have timestamps and descriptions if you would like to jump around to the topics that we discuss as well. And now let's get on with the show. So our first topic, right now we're sitting pretty good, 6-2. We're second in the NFC and ranked fourth in the NFL in general. To me, I'm not gonna lie, I'm pretty. I mean, I feel good about it, but I would have been happy if there would have been 4-4 so far. But being 6-2, with the way they're playing, I'm not gonna complain about it. So yeah.
Yeah, realistically, I was kind of thinking because everybody, as much as I hate playing the schedule game, I was hoping that we could at least get to the bye week and be 5-3. Like that was my ceiling. That was like my if everything goes great and the way we kind of hope it will go. I thought 5-3 was where we could be at. And the fact that we're at 6-2 is awesome. I mean, we got the one really ugly game against the Ravens, and we have the coin toss game against the the Seahawks. Sorry, a couple of birds, but I think that the coin flip gone in Detroit's favor, that overtime game, it probably could have been Detroit's. We could be sitting here at 7-1. That Ravens game, I won't even call it an anomaly because they totally destroyed the Seahawks this weekend.
Oh yeah.
But we were at least able to score a touchdown at some point. But man, Baltimore is something else. I don't want to say Seattle's a crappy team because they lost to Baltimore. Look, it happened to us. Baltimore, I just don't think NFC teams. I don't know what it is. They're just not ready for Baltimore. But I don't know what it is. But look, as far as where we are at, there's still a bunch to clean up, right? I mean, the Lions have not played perfect by any stretch. They have not played a perfect game. They've definitely been kind of lucky in some regards, especially on the defensive side, where like that Tampa Bay game, Tampa could have easily had scored a couple of long touchdowns. Same with the Raiders. They could have scored a couple of long touchdowns had some passes gone their way. So I just think overall, though, the vibe around Detroit, it feels different. I know we've been talking about it week in and week out. It's just, I think things just finally, we're a good team, and it's not just all, talk. Like, we can play with anybody. I don't think we're going to go undefeated the rest of the year, and we'll get into that. But it's just, they're finally built the correct way, finally. They're not heavy on one side of the ball. They got pieces all over the place. So, I don't know. I'm extremely happy where this team is at right now.
Yeah, and like you said, the Ravens, I think they're gonna go far in this playoff when they get there. But yeah, what they did to the Seattle Seahawks this past Sunday was wow. They are a legit team. And with the
Yeah.
way I heard some crazy stat, whenever the Ravens play like an NFC team, they just crush them. So, um,
Well, yeah, whatever it is, like what is it? Lamar's now 17-1 against NFC
yeah,
teams.
it's
So I don't get what that's about. I don't know what exactly the secret sauce is there. If it is in fact the lack of seeing NFC teams because you're an AFC team, I don't know. I don't know how much I believe in that. I just think the Ravens are just a good team. I doubted them right before the Lions game. I thought they'd still be a tough team. But when they beat Detroit the way they beat Detroit, I was like, this team's legit. If they play like this, they're legit. Now they've done it again against the the Seahawks. Another good team, by the way. Shoot, you got. I mean, I'm keeping an eye on the Ravens. If we get to the playoffs, they're a team you got to watch out for at some point. I know we wouldn't play them again unless it's a Super Bowl situation, but
oh
I don't want
yeah,
to get too carried away. Let's not make any proclamations on this show about Super Bowls and stuff. Don't go tearing up your brown paper bag masks just yet, everybody.
it could happen.
I mean,
Well,
it
yeah,
could.
yeah. Looking at last 8 games, they beat the Chiefs opening game of the NFL. They beat them by 1. Um, I mean, I was shocked at it, but I'm not. Uh, they won by 1, so that's a win for us, which helps. They lost to the Seahawks in overtime. I think if they played the Seahawks again right now, I think they would beat them. Just the way with the Seahawks are playing. They crushed the Falcons by 14. Um, even their star running back that they drafted, I don't know what's going on with him. I don't know. I think he's playing much right now. So hopefully he does get better or healthier or whatever, and they can get him back on the field. Um, they beat the Packers by 14. Packers right now, I think they're a dumpster fire. I think they're going to start rebuilding. Um, and then they beat the Panthers by
Math is
what was
hard.
that?
Math is very
18.
hard, Kyle.
Yeah. So yeah, Panthers are really struggling, but they got their franchise quarterback. So maybe next year they'll
Or
start
are they
stringing
kicking them?
wins
Are they
together.
kicking themselves? Because CJ Stroud's look pretty good.
I think Bryce Young just needs a little fine tuning. Like I wouldn't
Maybe,
count
but
him out.
CJ Stroud though looks pretty good.
Well, when he's an Ohio product, and finally they get a
Oh, that's why you
quarterback
hate
from
on him. That's
Ohio
why.
that knows how to play football. So yeah, then they beat the Buccaneers by 14. Baker Mayfield, I think, is a little overrated. They lost to the Raiders by 32. Total beat down there, and then they
Ravens.
Ravens. Yep.
Ravens.
But they beat the Raiders by 12, which we went to that game. Pretty good game.
Yep. And I'm
I
still working.
was
I got to still put that video up. I'm working on it still.
oh yeah. Too bad we couldn't get Max
Got a lot on my
Crosby.
plate, man.
What? What was
I said
that?
I got a lot on my plate. I haven't gotten that video done yet.
Only if there was more hours in a day.
I know, right? Like this stupid working 9 to 5 bull crap.
Yeah. But, yeah. So that's the season so far. As far as the NFC North goes, right now we are was it 1 game ahead of Viking, or 1.5 games ahead of the Vikings.
Yep.
So hopefully we can keep that trajectory. I think once the opponents find out how Josh Dobbs is playing, they'll kind of figure him out, and I don't expect the Vikings to win a lot more, even though it looks like they're on a 4-game winning streak. So that's impressive. And the Packers are 3-5, and Bears are 2-7. So nothing to worry about out of those two.
Well, it's still early. Look, the Lions were 1-6 last year, and turn it around. So I won't totally count these teams out. The only teams I've declared on the world of football has been the Giants. You stick a fork in them, they're done. That's the one team, and there's probably one other team I was close to putting a fork in, but I can't remember. But look, the Bears still got some talent there, and like the NFC North, say what you will, anytime those teams get together, it's a coin toss who's going to win those games. Like it's going to be a bloodbath when they go head to head. And look, I don't care if it's Green Bay or Chicago. It's going to make me nervous going against Detroit, regardless, just because of that division factor. I don't think I will ever, since being a Lions fan, and you've got it, beating India. That no game's a gimme. We've been there before. No game's a gimme. So I'm not going to take any of those guys for granted.
Yeah, I mean, we already beat the
Especially
Packers
backup
once.
quarterbacks. Josh Dobbs is going to get in there and kick our butts probably. That's just how it works.
Don't worry about him.
Case Keenum all over again.
Yeah, if that happens, I'll be pretty upset.
We all will.
We've already beat the Packers once at their place. They're coming to our place Thanksgiving, so I expect a win out of that. Bears, either away or at home, I don't really see them as much of a threat right now. I don't know if Justin Fields is going to have a resurgent once he gets back to playing, or even if he might get on the field. I don't know if they're going to stick with that quarterback they got now. And then I don't know, Vikings at their place, I might be a little worried about, but other than that, I'm not too worried.
Yeah.
So I think the Lions have it in the bag pretty comfortably.
Yeah. We're going to go over the schedule in a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
Yep.
Okay.
But yeah, let's move on to topic number 2, trade acquisitions. What we were hoping for, and I think what everyone was hoping for, would have been a defensive edge player or a cornerback. I know a lot of people were kind of chasing after Chase Young or Montez Sweat or even like a Max Crosby, but as we found out, that did not happen.
Yeah, you didn't get mad and throw your chair like some stupid personality on a Detroit radio station, at least.
Yeah, I mean, I was pretty upset after they traded Chase Young to the 49ers for a third round pick, but after kind of reading what the writers or Detroit writers were saying was Chase Young kind of does his own thing. He doesn't really follow assignments, and I know Dan Campbell is a big person on making sure everyone follows their assignments. He does not like missed assignments, so I don't know if that would have worked out in the end. Plus, also you gotta realize if Chase Young did come to our team, had a monster year, and they sign him to like maybe like a 2 or 3 year contract, like what's to say he gets hurt again, because he's always been plagued with injury. So that's one thing they probably had in their back of their mind. Even Montez Sweat going to Chicago, he got a monster deal out of there. So
I know.
I
I
don't
was
think
surprised
Brad
they
Holmes.
announced that so fast. Like
Yeah,
the deal he signed.
Yeah, he's
Like
making a lot of money there.
Yeah, and that's where I figured that's where Brad Holmes was like, nah, like we ain't doing that. Which
Yeah,
I get. I mean, as much as I would have liked a Max Crosby or a Chase Young or a Montez Sweat, I mean Brad Holmes. I mean I trust him, and that's what made like the eyebrow raising trade to get Donovan Peoples-Jones for a fifth rounder in 2025 or a sixth rounder.
it's a 6th round, I think.
Absolute fleecing by Brad Holmes to that dumb Browns organization. Good Lord. We'll give you a 2025 pick. That's 2 years away. Like, okay. Like, on a good, probably show me deal, let him come in. He kind of fills in that Marvin Jones role. Because at first I wasn't crazy about the idea, but the more I thought about it, I think the potential to open up the offense to, if we got Donovan Peoples-Jones, who's playing like he did last year, that'd be great. That'll do a world of wonder for opening things up for Amon-Ra, for Reynolds, for JMO, like I think it opens up so much. And I know the last thing we thought we would need is another offensive piece, but it makes a little sense now looking back on it. Having a week to cool down. And we all know us Lions fans got a little sad, a little upset that a third rounder was all that it was, required to get a Chase Young. But I think at the end of the day, we see what Brad Holmes is doing, and it's not a bad deal. It's a show me. You get him for the rest of the year, and if you don't resign him, guess what? We're probably going to go draft a wide receiver anyway. So whatever, we get a good, productive wide receiver now, and maybe we don't have to pay him the rest of his contract by free agency, in March or whenever that starts. So look, let Brad Holmes cook. That's all that's my new philosophy. I mean, it's been my philosophy for a while. But Brad Holmes, he has not given me any doubt in his acquisition side of things. And at the trade deadline, everybody wants a big splashy, a big trade. We're all hoping for the Max Crosby trade to happen, but let's be realistic. That's not what Brad Holmes does. And if you think about it, it's probably the smart thing. This isn't the NBA where if you trade for a couple of guys, you're going to change the whole dynamic of your team. If anything, in the NFL, that hurts your team. Say if we got a Max Crosby, who's to say he would have been a good fit? A great player is a great player, but like you pointed out, Kyle, to your credit, for doing some sort of research for this show for a change. He might not have been a good scheme fit for what Campbell and them want to do, or maybe his personality type or the way he actually goes about running in that defense isn't going to work if he doesn't make the assignments he needs to in order for everything else to work, because it is a delicate ecosystem they've kind of built where the defensive line gets the pressure. And while we've had some secondary issues, like you've always complained about the playing soft coverage and stuff, it hasn't yet. And I'm waiting for that shoe to drop, as we point out with Mike Evans and with Devontae Adams. Like, they were a couple of good throws away from 90-yard touchdowns at some point. But the pressure was enough to not let the ball get there. It was enough to get the quarterback to just throw it away to the wrong spot. So it is a very delicate ecosystem, it seems, that they've built there on the defensive end, or the defensive side of the ball, rather. So I don't know. As much as you would think, like in Madden, when you just plug in a Max Crosby on your defensive line, and all of a sudden your rating goes up and your defense plays so much better. But that's not how real life football works. You can have all the talent in the world, but if you're not going to fit that scheme, it just messes up that ecosystem. I mean, so.
Yeah. The only thing I'm really worried about right now is their defensive back depth. I know there was Surtain was out there, or even the guy from Chicago, but again, I don't think Brad Holmes wants to spend that kind of money. So I'm just hoping and praying Josh Jacobs and Cameron Sutton can stay healthy through the rest of the season.
And who knows if we get CD Deuce back, wherever he's going by now, Gardner Johnson, or a couple of those other guys, if we get them back from injury. I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm going to have quite a few weapons back at the upcoming game, which we will talk about here in a bit. But yeah, getting to they did sign Donovan Peoples-Jones from the Browns for a 2025 sixth-round pick.
Absolute fleecing.
I mean, I like that. I don't think was used to his full potential in the Browns because they're just a garbage team. But he is going to be a step up from like a Marvin Jones kind of role. He's a big body target, 50-50 ball catcher. He can play multiple roles. Outside, I think he can do some slot. He loves blocking for running plays. So, and I think as far as like a culture fit, I think he's just going to fit pretty well here. And I expect Goff to kind of throw it to him a little more than what they were using him with the Browns. Just the way with our offensive coordinator kind of draws up plays. So I expect him to be somewhat of a big kind of player here. So maybe, I don't know, maybe we get a 1 or 2 year contract deal with him, which I wouldn't mind because he's a Michigan product.
I was gonna say you like him because he's a Michigan guy, but
Yep,
how long has he been in the league? Is this year four
four
for him?
years, four
Is
years,
his
I
fourth
think.
year? Okay,
Yep.
I wasn't sure. I mean, yeah, a young guy like that for only 4 years in the league, shoot, yeah. If he looks good the rest of the year, I'd say yeah, do that 2 year deal. He fills in that Marvin Jones kind of spot we were hoping. I'm gonna miss Marvin Jones. Very sad that he.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if we talked about that, but about Marvin leaving the team with family issues and whatnot. So
I think we did a little bit last episode, but yeah, I mean, if he retires, I'm glad he retired as a Lions because when he did have his prime years with the Lions, like what 3 or 4 years ago, like
yeah, he was great. I love Marvin
oh
Jones. I will continue to love Marvin Jones.
yeah, hopefully Lions do something for him, like I don't know, put him in the Ring of Honor when that time comes. That'd be pretty cool to see, but we'll see. But yeah, let's move on to topic number 3. Looking at the schedule for the rest of the season, what do we think of the final record? Could be for me. Just looking at the rest of the games, the only tough games that I'm kind of worried about are the Chargers next week and the Cowboys December 30th. I think if they play aggressive against the Chargers on the defensive side, they could come out with a win. So if that does happen, um, maybe 2 more losses in their schedule. So I mean, if that does happen, they'll either be number 1 or number 2 in the NFC side, which would result in a couple playoff games at home. Uh, yeah, what do you think?
Okay, well, I mean, just looking at the schedule, look, yeah, that Chargers game next week kind of makes me a little nervous. I know they're not the best team right now, um, but I mean, anytime you got to go on the road like that, it makes me nervous. And the Chargers got a good quarterback, and a good quarterback will also make me nervous. Um, the Bears, it could be a 50-50 split. I think we could take care of them at home. On the road, it's always iffy going to Chicago. Green Bay, not worried about too much on Thanksgiving Day. New Orleans on the road, always tough to play in New Orleans. I don't care, you know,
Uh,
how they are. They're usually tough to play in the Superdome. So that's another game where I'm like they should win, but I'm not gonna call it a for sure thing. Denver at home should be I won't say a lock, but Denver's not in a great place right now, and I think Detroit could play them and take care of them. Minnesota, I think splitting with Minnesota is a possibility. We'll see. It's always tough to play in Minnesota as well. I'm always going to say those division road games are always tough. But I think the best, that Dallas game also, one that makes me nervous. Because I think we are better than the Cowboys. But for whatever reason, whenever Dallas plays against Detroit, there's always something. Something always happens, against Dallas, in Dallas. And they embarrassed us last year, so I'd like a little bit of revenge against them. I think the ceiling for the rest of the year is 2 losses. That's my absolute ceiling. I could see him maybe dropping 3 or 4. That's kind of my worst, possible, that could happen. I mean, I know it could get worse, but I think with this team, my high end is look, just lose 2 more games. I think we're good, and the floor is 4 games that you could lose. But we'll see. And I think this team is still on a trajectory. I think that's what we want is just keep getting better. And even if you stumble a little bit, I think it's not the worst thing in the world. Like you learn from it and you move on. And as long as they can win that division, that's the big thing here. Like, can we win the division for a change? Can we host a playoff game? And can we win a playoff game? I mean, if we did those 3 things, the season's a success. I mean, I ideally, obviously, we all want a Super Bowl. I don't want to get that far ahead. I'm not going to proclaim like you Super Bowl champs, halfway through the season. I want to take it baby steps, man. I want baby steps. Like, give me the division, home playoff game. Can we win a playoff game? That'd be great.
Yep. And yeah, if I had to pick three losses, I think it'd be Chargers, Saints, and Cowboys. Those are kind of the iffy games for me right now.
Those are the
But
iffy games, but those are the games. Like if you win those, though,
yeah,
I mean, I think that do worlds for Detroit. I think getting big wins on the because let's say what you will, Chargers record notwithstanding, I think the Chargers is still a tough game. Saints, they're leading their division right now, so they're above 500. That's a game you win that when you beat another division leader. You know that's another feather in your cap. And then Dallas, of course, Dallas is the big one that everybody's looked at on our schedule, saying, look, you got a soft schedule, and the Cowboys are your toughest game.
well,
You
I
go
mean,
into
even
Dallas.
going to Dallas also resting players if they went out or if they beat like the Chargers, Saints, and
I
Bears.
don't see. It depends.
You,
If you locked up the number one seed by that point, sure. I mean, at that point, I still think we're playing for seeding. I mean, I don't know how, and I don't have the Eagles schedule in front of me. I know the Eagles got a tough schedule, but I don't think at that point we're resting guys. I think you go into Dallas full strength or as full strength as you can, and you try to punch them in the mouth and show them, hey, we're going to take
oh,
care of you, and let's knock Dallas out of the playoffs. Let's do it. Knock them out then. That's what I want.
yeah, I don't.
That'd be a great Christmas gift.
Yeah, looking at the Eagles' schedule, I don't know. We might have a chance for the first seed because they got to play the Chiefs, then they got to play the Bills, then the 49ers, then the Cowboys again, then the
Do they have the Ravens?
Seahawks, Eagles.
Yeah, no. Do the Eagles have the Ravens on their schedule?
No, nope.
Okay.
Then their last three games are like give me games. New York
No.
Giants and the Cardinals. So
Oof.
yeah, but their next five games, that's a tough gauntlet for the Eagles there. So yeah, you never
Yeah.
know.
Never know.
But yeah, speaking of Super Bowl, going to the Super Bowl, sounds like we got a couple players coming back from injury. Was just reading today from Dan Campbell saying that Frank Ragnow and Jonah Jackson are both slated to come back this week. Also, sounds like Montgomery's on the right trajectory to also come back this week. I didn't really hear anything about CD Deuce yet, so hopefully it'd be kind of interesting to see him come back, at least for maybe the Saints, if he could get back by then. Which that's kind of a tall order, but
Yeah.
you never know with the way this medical practices, this um, how advanced
Right.
it is now. So
I mean,
I
if
think,
he does come back, I think it should be more. He should be Tracy. Can we just admit it? He should just be Tracy Walker's backup. They should be
yeah,
rotating. Like he shouldn't get his starting job back from Tracy. I think Tracy's doing an outstanding job. I love Tracy Walker. Uh, but I think with his injury problems for CD Deuce, I hate saying that. I think that's a terrible, terrible name, dude. Like just CJ Gardner Johnson. Come on, bud. But when he comes back, if he comes back, rotate him in a little bit. Kind of, don't rush him back like that. Don't give him the starting job back. Let Tracy Walker handle his business because Tracy Walker's been pretty good in my opinion. I don't know how everybody else feels, but I've been loving me some Tracy Walker. All right, I was kind of bummed when we got CJ because that relegated uh, Walker to kind of a backup role. And I know he was
yeah,
coming back from an injury too, but I love Tracy Walker out there, man. I love it.
yeah, and yeah, if he does come back, I mean, yeah, let's rotate him in between Walker, Brian Branch. I don't know if he can play outside, but even like rotating with like Jerry Jacobs to kind of like end the season, if they are making a playoff push, um, that way we're not burning people out quick. They can kind of rest up, so they're
Yeah.
not playing so hard. But
Yep,
yeah,
for sure.
so hopefully we'll get more news on him. I don't think it'll be this week, but maybe next couple of weeks we'll start hearing a little more on Gardner Johnson, CD
Okay.
Deuce, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
him. I think I want to get a jersey with Deuce on the back. So that'll be interesting.
All right.
But yeah, as far as that goes, for me, ultimately, I think the Lions will host at least one playoff game. Which, if that does happen, it'll probably be against number what 6 or 7 seed.
If the Lions are the second seed, they would play the seventh seed. So like right now, that would be the Minnesota Vikings. So we'd get the
Yep.
Vikings again,
Let's see.
which you know the Cowboys I think are sitting at number 6,
Yep,
and
they're
then
a 6. Vikings are 7. So yeah, it'd either be
so
one of those two. So
and
if
then
that
San
does
Francisco.
happen,
Yeah, San Francisco's number 5 right now. No,
uh,
San Francisco jumped back up to 3, so Seattle
yeah,
jumped
they're
down to
number 3.
5. So Seattle at 5. I mean, any of those teams you bring into Ford Field, I would feel pretty confident that Detroit could handle them at home.
Yep. So yeah, hopefully. I mean, I don't really want to face the Cowboys in the playoffs, but having like
I
Vikings or
do.
even
Why not? They
uh,
suck. They haven't done anything in the playoffs. They're the team you want to play in the playoffs. I want revenge for that game back in 2014. Give me the Cowboys. I would
okay.
love to embarrass the Cowboys in a playoff game. They're the last team we beat in the playoffs too. So let's bring that full circle.
I mean,
Give it
I'd
to me,
rather have
man.
the.
I would want nothing more than to just take the Cowboys and just embarrass them. Oh, I want to embarrass the Cow. I always love embarrassing the Packers, and I love embarrassing the Vikings and the Bears. You know who's right there too? The Cowboys. Slot them right in there. God, I hate the Cowboys.
Well,
I want to do nothing but embarrass them.
I think we all know that by then Dak Prescott will be hurt. So
Oof.
who knows? I don't think you think they if Prescott does get hurt, I don't think they'll make the playoffs because they're
How
gonna.
about I get you a Dak Prescott jersey that says prostate because that's how you almost said his name. Dak Prostate.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's got to play the Eagles twice, right? Is
Well,
that what I read?
they just played them, so they got one more game against them, but it'll be in Dallas.
Oh yeah, they got even the Cowboys. They got to play the Bills, Eagles, Dolphins. So yeah, who knows? Maybe they
Yeah.
won't get in the playoffs.
Well,
But
never
yeah,
know. I think in the NFC it's going to be a tight race because I think there's
we'll
a
see.
definite like line in the sand where the good teams and the bad teams are separated, and Dallas might just be north of that line. I don't see Dallas not making the playoffs. So if they don't make the playoffs, I would be happy, but it wouldn't. I'm not looking for them to miss it. They'll probably be there. There's no way.
Oh, you never know. I mean,
I
they
mean,
could
God, you
squeak
can only
in.
hope.
I don't know. They, I don't see them making it after looking at who they play.
Well, we'll see. We got quite a few weeks to
Prescott,
go.
Prescott always gets hurt every year, so it's bound to come for him.
Jeez.
But yeah, let's. You want to look at previewing Week 10, Los
Yeah, let's
Angeles
preview
Chargers.
next week. Yep, let's do it.
All right, so we have the Chargers right now. They are playing the Jets tonight. Chargers are 3-4. Jets are 4-3. Um, with the way the Jets defense is playing right now, I think that's going to be a really tough game for the Chargers.
Yeah,
With the way their coach kind of calls those games, kind of
and it's
weird.
in New York, and it's traveling East Coast, so uh, could be a tough sledding for them tonight.
Yeah, I to me, I think if the Chargers lose and they lose in a bad way, like it's just gonna fuel that fire for them for next week, facing the Lions at the Chargers Stadium. So, I mean, if that does happen, I hope Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, all them kind of realize and say, hey, we need to be on top of our game. So we're not going in there looking like a bunch of idiots. Um, so yeah. But yeah, I think with the Chargers playing the Lions on Sunday, it's 4:05 game. Biggest thing for me is Chargers have some weapons, and they have one. one heck of a quarterback. So
Yeah.
if you don't pressure Herbert in the pocket, he's gonna either throw it downfield to Allen or Palmer or even Austin Eckler. So to me, I kind of want to see kind of mirror what they did against the Raiders, kind of disguise blitzes with their linebackers. Let's put a little pressure on Herbert, kind of throw him off a little bit. Um, if we can do that, I think Lions will sit pretty good. And I don't know about you. Does Herbert kind of throw some wild passes too, kind of like a Stafford?
I mean, he's very Stafford-esque in my opinion. I don't know how accurate he is. I honestly haven't sat there and watched a whole lot of Justin Herbert, but when I have, the dude impresses me every time. He throws some good balls. He does throw some iffy balls. He is kind of a gunslinger kind of player. So uh, I think of all the quarterbacks Detroit's played so far, I mean, obviously like a Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson are probably the creme de la creme. After that, though, this might be the third best quarterback Detroit's played. And so he makes me nervous. Eckler's a weapon that makes me nervous. His wide receivers make me nervous, but the same case with the Raiders and Buccaneers, where you had a great receiver out there. If we can get that pressure, it ain't gonna matter. Uh, you know, so we'll see. And if that Lions run game keeps it up to being one of the top run stoppers in the league, I mean, they should be all right.
Yeah,
Nothing's a gimme, but I think Detroit should be able to handle this game. I'm not saying a 2-score win. I'm thinking this might be almost not a come down to a field goal type game, but it'll be coming down to the last possession kind of game.
yep. And looks like the Chargers are ranked number 8 in the offensive side, sixth in passing, and 22nd in rushing. Also, they rank number 27th in defense, 32nd in passing, and sixth in rushing. So, with the way their defense is playing, hopefully Goff can sling it down the field a lot if they can't get the running game started. Hopefully, if that does happen, JMO has a kind of breakout game, which um, he desperately needs it with the way
Yeah.
fans are kind of calling for his head right now. So,
Sorry, Lions fans, y'all. Most of y'all a bunch of idiots. Leave JMO alone. Just stop it. I heard so many people that Lions game. I'm just sorry. A bunch of you dumb. DUMB dumb. Like JMO will be fine. They just gotta ease him into the scheme. I know he's been dropping passes, but I think the way to solve this problem is for them to not use them the way they've been using them. Everybody wants
yeah,
him to. I think I said it last week. They want him to be Randy Moss 2.0, and right now he's not that. Get him to be like I think you told me, like if he was more playing slot, and I think the addition of Donovan Peoples-Jones might help allow that and facilitate him getting more inside routes, kind of like Amon-Ra, which I think is better right now, and maybe that'll help ease him back, into the game. Because if you think about it, he's only played, God, 6 games, 7 games, like that I can think of at the top of my head that he's done. Like, Jiminy Christmas, y'all need to calm down. Just like y'all complaining about Jameer Gibbs not getting touches, like he was a rookie. Just chill, just chill. We'll get there. I trust Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell.
yep. So yeah, if I think Ben Johnson, he gets rid of those little cute plays. I think I read somewhere where they kind of toss those plays out, like we're not going to run those plays anymore. So hopefully we don't get too cutesy at the goal line. If Montgomery is back, let's feed him the ball, get him in the end zone. Let's make sure we're not having those kick or field goal kicks. Let's turn them into touchdowns. If that does happen, I think the Lions will be sitting pretty good at winning against the Chargers.
Yep.
But time will tell.
Yep.
Hopefully, tonight's game's kind of a good measuring point when we do face off against the Chargers. on Sunday. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Sounds good.
But yeah. So yeah, anything else you want to say, or you want to close this out?
I'm good to go if you are.
All right, go ahead.
All right. Well, everybody, we hope you enjoyed listening to today's episode and come back for more. Be sure to visit the World of Football's website, www.theworldoffootball.com, for news, links, upcoming events, original articles, videos, and more. If you want to get in touch with us, you can send us an email at info@theworldoffootball.com. Or you can connect with us by either liking our Facebook page or our X account. Links for those are down in the description. Be sure to also check out our flagship podcast this week in the world of football, which I am a part of. Drops every Tuesday, except for last week we were delayed a day. But every Tuesday normally, we are dropping a hot, brand new episode talking about everything in the world of football. This week we got Canadian Football League playoffs, we got more NFL games, and we got plenty of other arena football news. So if you're into that sort of stuff, join us over on that show. You can find links for that down in the description as well. So yeah, guys, that's it.
All right, sounds good. Okay, that's it for us this week. Aaron, Glenn, if you are listening to this, just make sure to pressure Herbert. Don't let him sit in the pocket all day. If you can get some blitzes on him, should come out with a pretty easy win there. Just be on the lookout next week. The next podcast should come out Monday. I will not be around Sunday, as I am going to the Metallica concert Sunday night and even Friday night as well. So, yeah, next Monday, just be on the lookout for the podcast. And thanks everyone for tuning in for this one. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment. Let everyone you know that is interested in Detroit come check out this podcast. That way we can build the numbers up and more people will hopefully like listening to us. So, yeah. Thanks, everyone.
So passionate, Kyle. We can just feel it. Just feel it from your bones, all that passion.
Yeah. I need to get a water or something. I can't talk.